to yourself.
Thanks, Paul and Dave. Always a pleasure to be here and amazing to meet everyone in the community. I've not been as prepared as Laura and I don't have any slides, unfortunately, so it's just listen to me and look at my face. But yeah, so I'm Foong. I'm the founder of Matchable. Matchable is a, as Paul mentioned, a skills-based volunteering platform that matches employees at companies with really unique and innovative projects, volunteering projects at non-profits, so that's charities and social enterprises, and also at impact startups. So what makes this unique is the curation of our projects and our UX. So for example, I know like when you think about volunteering, maybe you think about planting trees, painting fences, packing donations, food banks and stuff. We definitely offer all of that. But on top of that, we also offer projects where, for example, one of my favorites at the moment is with an organization called Resting Reef, which is all about regenerating the marine ecosystem through eco burials. So they actually take people's ashes and create these incredible corals and reefs that actually can put on beaches, and they actually help regenerate the marine ecosystem. I could talk for a very long time about all the different projects, but the whole idea behind what we do is that we've really curated the project so that every time you volunteer, even if it's just for 30 minutes on a Zoom, you can actually make your biggest impact. So that's a bit about Matchable. But obviously here to talk about our B Corp journey. So we are a B Corp, and actually hearing about Laura is really nice to get a refresher on the process, because we've been around for 3 years, 3.5, 4 years now. And how we originated actually was we came out of an incubator called the Good Lab, and it was a collaboration between 8 of the innovation teams at 8 of the UK's largest charities. So that included the British Red Cross and More Trade, the RSPCA, etc. And the idea behind that was that they would come together to try and think up startup ideas that would solve some of their collective problems as charities, but that they could also invest in to prove out a model that they didn't need to just rely on fundraising and donations to survive, but they could also go into business. So a really interesting concept, and actually kind of really feeds into the whole idea that in the future, profits and purpose will be very interlinked and very much, in line with the B Corp ethos. So as a result of coming out of that incubator, I actually applied for the job as a founder of Matchable, so a very unique way to get into a founder world. But one of the conditions for me actually getting the job was, and also the shares, I suppose, was that at Matchable, we would get certified as a B Corp within the first couple of years of our existence. So actually the Good Lab, the incubator, helped us with a lot of the legals in terms of, I know Laura, you mentioned like kind of having articles that align with, all the B Corp kind of profit and purpose and giving back to the community. So that was kind of embedded into what we did right from the start, which was quite an interesting journey, but also it was good because it was very much the foundation, not just in terms of what we do, because volunteering itself, as Laura mentioned, volunteering contributes to your community score. You can get up to 9 points if anyone is thinking about applying. But also, obviously, it feeds very much into how we originated and where we see the world going forward, which is very much, like businesses will all need to do good in order to, become great businesses now, because shareholders and customers and everyone is, very aware of the fact that if you're just about profit, it's maybe, not as exciting as profit and purpose. So it's been really interesting. We applied right at the beginning, and I have to say we applied when we were only 4 people. So in one way, it was actually a lot easier. So we are tech-based, service-based business, so we don't have a physical product. So very excited to hear from Ella's about all the supply chain stuff that you probably have to go through in terms of B Corp certification. Luckily, we didn't have to go through all of that. And it was very early on as well in terms of B Corps in the UK. So I think at the time we applied, there were maybe about 500 B Corps. As Laura, you mentioned, now there's like 1,600, I think. So the process itself, we started it in March 2020. I spent a couple of days, this is in good old days when I had more time and maybe like more innocence, because I was like, I'm going to spend 2 days fully doing this. I don't know if I could do that now, but yeah, so spent a couple of full days doing that. And then we actually went through the whole assessment and got certified in September 2020. So we're actually coming up for renewal in September 2023. So it's nice to have a refresher. We ended up with a B Corp score of 108, which I'm very proud of, but also I realize it's not 133. So I'm sure there are much better scores out there definitely now. And actually we have, for our size of company, we've won the Best for the World in Governance, surprisingly also, for the last couple of years. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I guess the process itself I found relatively, I would say okay. It was time consuming, but it wasn't as involved as I imagine it would be for like a really big company, or one where you actually physically have to go through a supply chain and all that kind of stuff. But I actually found the B Corp and the B Lab team really helpful. So after I first did my assessment, they actually talked through an initial review with me, and hopefully they still do this, of how I could improve my impact score before I then applied like fully to kind of get my final score. And the lady who helped us was amazing. We went back and forth a few times, but they were very responsive, super helpful. So yeah, very happy to talk about B Corp journey in more detail if people would like. One thing also to mention is to shout out Dave and Paul in terms of your includability kind of process as well. I think it's a real, like, we actually did it after, obviously we got certified as a B Corp, but I think actually in terms of process and the 5 areas that you kind of get people to be tested on, but also commit to in terms of pledges, like it's actually a really helpful process to even just kind of go through before you you know, even apply. Or we're about to be certified, so we probably need to revisit a lot of our includability pledges, but we are includability certified, so thank you both. So definitely shout out to you guys. I think it's all kind of, all of these things really help in terms of solidifying, you know, us as a company internally in terms of our values and what we stand for, but also externally. It's really nice to be able to say we are B Corp certified, includability certified, but also I think it's really nice to be able to identify other companies as well who will share your values. And I think that's been the real benefit of being part of this community and the B Corp community as well. So I've spoken
amazing.
Time.
Thank you. I'm lucky. I'm so pleased actually that you said that it's a good process, because if you said it was a rubbish process, it would have been the worst ending to a pitch ever. But look, I mean, Foong and kind of what the team do at Matchable is incredible. But it does take kind of organisations to kind of be brave to take that step, because yeah, it is something new, but it's a great opportunity to really empower your employees to utilize incredible, unique skill sets with organizations that actually really need it at that moment in time. So it's a great opportunity that can help with the retention of employees as well. So if used right as part of kind of your EVP and even the attraction process for candidates, it's such an incredible thing to do. And I think actually just touching upon kind of the process that Foong mentioned there, we're B Corp certified. We're also Planet Mark certified. So we commit to kind of reducing our carbon footprint by 5% every year. We're awarded a gold CSR accreditation, and that's essentially how its includability has been molded over the years. I guess we're not an evidence-based kind of certification, I guess, if you like. It's very much led by transparency, being honest. Everyone's at a very, very different part of their journey. And it's about being supportive and saying, well, what can we do together to try and drive progress, because there's so much that organizations have to do, that they have to focus on, whether it's around ED&I, whether it's around supporting mental health, or it's about employee well-being, whether it's around sustainability, or whether it's leadership and governance, or even talent management. And there's so much within that when you start going subcategories. And that's why this community needs to continue to evolve, to grow, to build, and eventually kind of support each other.